Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to the final day of our All About You 365-day challenge to do one thing every day that centers us from the Little Journal book. Do one thing every day that centers you. This is actually the first year in, I think, forever that I've actually started my annual challenge on the 1st and ended it on the 365th day of the year, the last day of the year. In the past, I had bonus days. I think some have gone 10, 8, 7 days over. And then one year I started late because I didn't want to do two simultaneously. And then that was just the first year. Then the second year I was like, no, I have to start at the first. So that year I did first, but then I went over extra days. So it's fun. But every year for at least 4 years or so now, the last 4 years I've used this little journal book. Prior to that I did different challenges and annual challenges, but I've done annual challenges, 30 plus day challenges for decades, for a really long time. And so it's kind of fun to actually notice. I went back and looked through my notes and I'm like, I actually started on the 1st, and I could have just looked in the book. I actually started on the 1st of January with, I'm going to read it. Let's go back and see what we started with. And you, when will you begin that long journey into yourself? That was said by Rumi, and that led us to today, which is also a sayings day. And it said, the further I get, the further I want to go. This is said by Naz. And our challenge today says, where I want to go today. Where do you want to go today? I find that the last day of the year is always a day that I tie up loose ends, which happens to be our idiom for Supersize Your Business today. I'm going to talk about tying up loose ends, what I do at the end of every year and the beginning of the next year, to make sure that every year I'm continually improving and becoming a better version of myself. Because that's what we're all here for, right? To experience this life as only we uniquely can experience it, and learn the lessons that each of us are here to learn. And that's part of becoming centered and understanding who we are and what's important to us. So today, I ask you to share, what is it that you want? Share one thing that you want. And then, in the comments below, share how you feel versus how you felt at the beginning of the year. Do you feel more centered? Do you feel different? My son-in-law asked me yesterday, we were having a conversation, he had some friends over, and we were all talking about the senses. And one guy said there were 12 senses, and I'm like, okay, you need to explain that one to me. And then we were talking about that, and I said, well, we got to talking about centering and the sixth sense and intuition and things, and I said, it's hard for me to explain to you how centered or what centered is to me, because it's different for me than it is for you. What makes me feel centered is different than what makes anyone else feel centered. Some things are similar, but none of us are the same. So how we get to feeling good about ourselves and centered and get to know ourselves and understanding ourselves, that's a unique journey that only each and every one of us can go on. So maybe share in the comments below how different you feel now than at the beginning of the challenge. I'll do that. Maybe I'll hop on and do that tomorrow. Next year's challenge, if you're interested in that, direct message me, because I'm not sure what page I'll be doing it on. I've got a couple different Facebook pages that I could record the original on, and if you'd like to follow along and join us live, then you want to make sure that you at least have that page in your repertoire of pages. Or I might do it in one of my private group pages, since Facebook is changing the way they do pages and groups and the way they're handled and the way you can share to different places. So depending on what craziness Meta, the new Meta, which is Facebook, decides to hoops they have us all jump through next year, I may choose a different page between today and tomorrow. Tomorrow it'll start. I will share it on the Sharon Horne-Ellstrom page. I'll share it right here for sure, and the link to where it'll be from then on if I decide to have it on a different page. I switched from Pajama Grandma maybe 2 years ago, 2020 I think, 2019 maybe, and went to the Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. No, it was 2020 I went to the Sharon Horne-Ellstrom page with the annual challenge. So maybe I'll stay here. I'm not going to guarantee it though, because it will depend on a couple of different things. And that is, number one, what the challenge is going to be, what it's going to entail, what it's going to be about, etc. So, thank you so much for joining me. If you popped in a day here and there, if you joined me for longer, I totally appreciate it. I hope that you got to know yourself better, that you understand yourself better, and that you feel more centered like I do. Like beginning of the year, beginning of 2021, I felt totally discombobulated and not really centered. And so that's part of why I chose this for 2021. 2021 has been a roller coaster ride for a lot of people, me included in many aspects. And so this little exercise, just a single daily action, has really helped me to feel better about myself, to work on my life in different areas that I've wanted to work on it in a long time. All right, any questions, any comments, any concerns, hit me up. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with our 2022 challenge, yet to be announced what it is. Have an awesome day. Bye. Thanks for joining me.